Welcome everyone, one and all, to my reaction to Season 3, Episode 5 of Young Royals. So, last time was a great episode, but we did end on a very sore spot for Willa, as he found out some stuff about his brother that weren't the best, stuff that I think may have shattered his original perception of his brother. I hope they haven't. I hope that Willa understands that people as a whole are very complicated, people do things that they regret, and I feel like his brother would have been supportive to him, and he would have regretted his past actions. Doesn't make those past actions okay, and it makes me a little bit, I don't know, it's mixed up my feelings towards Eric, but I hope that it hasn't completely shattered Willa's view of his brother, because we know how much he means to him, you know. But yes, with that said though, very excited to get into it and just see how everything plays out, so without further ado, let's go. Huh? Where are we? Oh, why are we here? Okay, so he's thinking about the fact that his brother was a part of all of this. Interesting. Oh, we haven't seen him be like this in a while. Oh, bless. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. I was expecting it to affect Willa quite deeply, but ugh. Well, it's one of those things. It's like, if he doesn't want to talk and he's in that place of like, I need to process it before talking, then absolutely take your time. But if he is going down that route of, I don't feel like I can talk about it, I don't want to talk about it, I want to just push it to the back of my mind and not think about it, I feel like that is where you go along the lines of it being unhealthy. So hopefully it is the former, but I guess we'll see.
August, läget? Du, fan, vi håller på att jobba med nomineringarna här nu. Har du hunnit kolla på det än?
Nominations?
Klassens festpriser.
Okay.
Klassens import.
The class socialist, I assume they're going to put as what, Simon? Unless it has to be people from their year.
Klassens import.
Ja, men att man är typ såhär nyanländ eller såhär fattig stil typ. Marwan tyckte det var skitkul, eller hur?
I don't think he actually did find it funny if you picked up on his body language there. I feel like in 3 seconds of knowing that man, realized that he didn't think that it was funny, but...
Alltså, tror du verkligen att de skulle låta oss få tillbaka våra mobiler, ha 300 middag om de inte var säkra på att vi hade vunnit?
Oh my god, you're so stupid. You're so stupid.
Jag kommer inte kunna komma så.
Va? Vadå, vad ska du?
Sorry to pause on this, because I know that, like, it's a silly thing to discuss, but, like, I have to. That is so fucking dumb. August, it's over. They wouldn't have given us all of this back if they didn't think we had won. Now, I don't know if that was just a translation thing of him not meaning it in the sense of winning, but let's take it as it was with the English subtitles. The idea of winning is fucking crazy in that regard, because the reasons that they were upset with you were for valid reasons that you did. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about, like, trying to convince them otherwise. It was, okay, you should probably be owning up to this and trying to do different. It wasn't this, like, battle to get your phones back. That is so stupid. Like, I'm not surprised that he has that take, but it's just so aggravating. Your thought process at this point should be, I am so fucking thankful that they listened to us and that we have been given this second chance. We've been given our phones back. We've been given our freedom back. Like, this is amazing. Let's not do anything that could risk anything getting bad again. Let's actually stick to these new ideals that we are apparently going to try to. This is why I was so frustrated with what the head teacher did last episode in giving them these things back. It's like, these people are so privileged. They've been handed so much in their lives that you have basically told them, look, you've done this really horrendous thing. You got a little slap on the wrist, but now look, here's all your stuff back. You did good. Let's keep going into the future. Like, what do you mean? Where are the consequences for their actions? There should be lasting consequences, but it is what it is.
Jag ville fylla år. Vi ska födelsedagsfirande på slottet.
Yep, August gotta be there.
Men det är familj. Eller hur?
Det är lite viktigare.
Oh.
Men,
Feels weird him saying family. I don't know how I feel about that, but I know that he is second in line, so I can't really say anything, but that made me feel weird.
Vid treornas middag nu I helgen.
Whoa, that was a lot.
Om hon är frisk, hon är sjuk nu. Ja, det får vi verkligen hoppas. Vi behöver alla händer vi kan få. Grupp 3 sen, tar hand om det där.
I'd be like, all Felice and Sara in the same group. That'll be good, in my opinion. It'll be good to get them in the room where they have to talk.
Jag fixat lite käk till oss. Farmors lasagne.
Aww.
Tvätta dina kläder också med det där tvättmedlet utan parfym som du gillar. Jag träffade läkaren och fick en ny medicin.
Okay.
Alltså om det är så att det är jobbigt att jag är här så kan jag verkligen flytta hem till mamma igen.
Nej, det är ju tvärtom. Jag är skitglad att du är här. Och jag ska träffa läkaren igen om en månad så du behöver inte oroa dig.
Yeah, testing medication for things is absolutely fine. Like, you gotta find one that works for you and fits your lifestyle. I understand why she would think if it's a burden for me to be here, but that's not what he was getting at. He was more so getting at, like, if he's having these symptoms and it's like a struggle to do everything on top, then that is not on you. He's just trying to find a way to work. And the fact that he's immediately gone to a doctor and is seeking a change in his medication rather than falling into bad habits with, like, drug abuse and all of that, like, go the fuck off, mate. That's amazing. Well done. That looks familiar, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, the letter he wrote himself in year 1. Okay. Who the... Is that his locker or someone else's? I would think someone else's the way he did it. Hopefully not Sara. Hopefully you haven't just, like, put that on her. What do you mean is what it is? How is she? Why? Yeah. In her position, I feel like that is something that just, like, is bred into you. Yeah. It was almost like he was born for the role, which is interesting. He didn't have that darkness inside him. Oh, he's actually bringing it up, okay. Oh my god, my heart. Oh, I'm sorry, but the... Obviously it wasn't planned because you can't plan that, but the fact that the tear fell from his eye at the exact moment that his dad said, "Can I call you back?" is fucking heartbreaking. The fact that, like, it's such a deep personal family matter, the idea of what he found out about Eric, and I feel like, as we've seen, them as a family, because they are the only people who get to know each other's private lives, essentially, when you have these deep family things, they're the only people that they can truly talk to. I think that's why he hasn't brought it up with Simon, because it's a family matter. And I feel like when there's family matters, you talk to family first, especially in Willa's situation, you know. So it's so sad that he felt that moment. He finally, like, got himself to get the courage to be like, right, I'm just gonna mention it to my dad and see what he says, see if he understands on a level that I'm struggling with. But obviously his dad can't talk to him right now, which fucking sucks, because that means that Willa isn't probably going to tell him, because why would you bring it up on a day like his birthday where they're all trying to have a good time? You wouldn't bring it up in that scenario. So I hope that he talks to Simon about it, now that it's got to the point where, like, he can't talk to his parents about it and he just needs to get it out of him, because if he doesn't get it out of him, it's going to keep bottling up and it'll explode at a time that it'll explode in a different way about a different thing, because he hasn't dealt with the emotion. Horrible when you can tell that your partner's struggling with something, but, like, they won't talk to you. You feel, like, helpless in that regard.
Simon, jag kommer hoppa av kören. Vadå, du började ju nyss. Ja, men jag känner mig verkligen inte bekväm med att uppträda.
That's fine, but...
Restriktionerna är borta, så det finns ju inte någon anledning för mig att vara med längre.
Oh god.
Alltså, du får vara ärlig och säga om jag har gjort någonting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry to pause again so quickly, but I was gonna say, if I was in Simon's position, I would be thinking that it's, like, something I've done, there's, like, something wrong in our relationship, because the reason that he joined the choir and everything was to spend time with Simon, and yeah, there were restrictions gone and all of that, but to be so easily able to tell that your partner is struggling with something, they're not talking to you, and then he comes out with, "I'm gonna quit the choir" and everything, which to you comes from, like, out of nowhere and all of that. you would immediately think, okay, like what's happening here? Like, please talk to me. What have I done? What is going on in our relationship that's causing this? So very fair for Simon to ask that, and I hope the Willer is honest, but I don't think he is gonna be.
Det hade varit nice om du kunde prata med mig lite, för jag fattar inte.
Yeah, please.
Erik var med
Okay, good.
på invigningen. Han var en av 300 som var där, som höll i det.
That must be like a weight off his shoulders just to get that out.
Du menar porrfilmen?
I hope that Simon recognizes how deeply this would affect Willer and isn't immediately gonna say, why the fuck would he do that, you know?
Jag behöver verkligen inte att du dömer honom också. Jag har inte sagt
Yeah.
något. Men jag ser vad du tänker.
Willer.
Vad tänker jag?
Du tänker att han är homofob, att han inte stod upp för de svaga? Att han inte hade tyckt om att jag var med dig, eller att han hade tyckt om vem jag är?
Det behöver inte alls vara så. Det kanske inte var så konstigt att han drog sig in i det där om alla andra gjorde det och tyckte att det var ett normalt beteende.
Yeah.
Han kanske föll för grupptryck. Vad vet du?
Yeah. Well done, Simon. Wow. Handled that beautifully.
Om det är någonting jag har lärt mig med hela den här situationen med Sara och allting, så är det att syskon också kan fucka upp.
Yeah. Everyone's people at the end of the day.
Svika en.
We all fuck up. Doesn't mean you're a horrible person deep down.
Alltså, du kan inte jämföra Erik och Sara. Du har inte rätt att göra det.
What do you mean you have no right to do that?
Nej.
Du gjorde det precis, eller vad fan menar du då?
Men hon har försökt göra någonting
Skitsamma,
bra.
jag orkar inte.
Kan vi bara...
What?
Jag orkar inte, Simon.
Men kan vi bara snacka?
Huh? I'm confused. I'm really confused. It's this is one of those things where it's really hard for me to comment on, because whenever I've had arguments in my life and everything, I don't know. I'm a very logical person, and I'm very much a person who I try and understand where the other person is coming from and all of that, but this was a very heated emotional argument, and that's where I struggle a little bit to fully understand what's going on. So that might just be on my part. The only thing that I can really interpret here is obviously that Willow was very emotional in the moment and is taking it that if we go into his mind and we think of his perception of his brother, he, up until he found out from August, perceived his brother to be perfect in every single way. Then he found this bad thing out from August, and it's messing with him. It's throwing his brain off, because he's trying to think to himself, no, but my brother was perfect. But then he did this. No, but he was perfect. You know, he keeps going back to that idea of him being perfect. And so what I think happened there was that Simon bringing up the idea of Sara and the fact that Sara actually did something that was like against them and that actually hurt them. He was like, you have no right to compare my brother to your sister because she actually did something that hurt us, whereas he would never do that. And I think the thing is, it's like, I completely understand where Simon was coming from, and I agree 1000%. Like, I think that was a perfect analogy to make. I really enjoyed that he was able to bridge something from his experience to try and help Willa, but Willa more so took it as like, I don't know, like an attack on Eric, which I don't understand. I think it genuinely is just the idea that he's struggling so much in his brain to fight this idea of Eric not being perfect, that being faced with the idea of him doing something bad, he just like can't accept it, and it's causing like an internal explosion. But if we're talking about like what happened there, I don't think he had a right to blow up at Simon at the end there. I think that that was way too much. I think that that was unfair to Simon, but obviously Willa is valid to have his feelings, but it's one of those, it's the classic thing. It's like, you're valid in your feelings, you're not valid in your actions. I think he is valid in his feelings to be feeling however he wants, but the way that he blew up at him there and got like so annoyed, I don't think he was valid in getting that way. I think that that should have been a moment to try and understand what he was talking about and not just explode, basically. Oh? Oh?
Hey.
Har det hänt något?
Oh, look at the look of concern on her face. She's trying. Can't force him to talk to her, like he can take as much time as he wants, but it's good to see that she is still trying. He did send it to her. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. That feels manipulative to me. She's made it clear that she doesn't want to talk to you, so why are you like forcing this upon her? You know?
Vart är du någonstans? Är du på väg? För att alltså, om du har fått förhinder eller någonting så måste du säga det. För att uppkörningen är om 30 minuter och bussen går inte förrän om 20 minuter. Så att du måste verkligen komma. Ja, ring mig.
Oh, I already know that she is panicking with the time constraint and everything, bless her.
Alltså, jag tror verkligen inte Simon menar något illa.
Yeah.
Jag är nog bara chockad.
Ja, det var väl, men...
But what?
Jag är i alla fall jätteglad att du berättar för mig. Jag vill verkligen veta vad som är sant och inte i allt det här.
Annorlunda med dig för du kände Erik.
Interesting. What do you think about
Du
that?
såg hans bra sidor. Simon har liksom inte gjort det.
Huh.
Du får liksom inte vara han. Erik var den som jag... Han var den rimliga. Han var den jag kunde lita på. Han var min bror. Och nu...
None of those things have changed.
Nu vet jag liksom inte ens om han hade tyckt om mig.
I think he would have. I think he would have.
Klart han hade.
I kept trying to resist pausing, but I have to. I have two things to talk about with that. One, the first one, it seems as though, because obviously in that argument, Willa definitely put on Simon, like, I know what you're thinking in your head, I know that you're judging him, da, da. It seems as though he's taken that as like a fact, and that is exactly what Simon was doing. But I don't think that was at all. I mean, genuinely, if he had talked to me about it, so if I was in Simon's place, a thought would have crossed my mind, like, oh, was he homophobic? Like, of course it's going to. Why would it not? But there was no, like, if Simon had stood there and gone, like, wait, your brother was homophobic? Oh, God, maybe he wasn't that good of a person. You know, like, that would have been fucked up, and that would have been something that I would understand. But the way that Simon handled it, I thought was absolutely perfect. It's just, it was such a sore spot to talk about that I don't think saying anything would have helped Willa at that point, and he was probably going to explode no matter what. But it's just interesting that Willa has kind of, like, put those emotions and those feelings on Simon as a fact, as if that is exactly what he was feeling, when they didn't even get to talk about it. Like, they didn't even get a chance to fully talk about it because he stormed out the room. But moving on from that, second point I wanted to make is that, unfortunately in life, I wish it wasn't this way, but unfortunately in life, you find that people who are part of a minority, like any kind of queer person, a lot of the time, their family, growing up and all of that, they may have heard so many, like, homophobic things, they may have heard, like, transphobic things, but for... I don't want to say all the time because it definitely isn't, because unfortunately we do have a lot of homelessness in the queer community because families are trash and they throw their kids out, which is fucking ridiculous. But sometimes you have it where, like, a person doesn't realize that they are, like, being deeply homophobic and that is affecting one of their family members until you come out and you tell them that you're part of that community. And then once you've done that, they would then self-reflect and they would stop doing those behaviors. Doesn't make what they've done before okay. It doesn't mean that, like, oh, but it was fine that they were homophobic in the past because now they're not going to be it anymore. No, but it is one of those things that changes a lot of people's attitudes and changes their opinions towards things. And I think that that would have been the thing with Eric. He wouldn't have seen, like, the problem in the past because he was just some kid following a tradition, which I'll move away from that for the moment because I still think it's fucked up, but I think that when he would actually face the idea of his brother being gay, it wouldn't even be a question to him as to whether he still loved his brother, as to whether he still liked his brother. No, it wouldn't have been a question. But I understand why Will is having such a hard time with this because he truly didn't think his brother could do any wrong. Also, sorry if you could hear anything in that moment. We're looking after my sister's dog this week, and I love this boy to bits, but he is a hassle. Oh, okay, he wants to say hello. Come here. There we go. Oh, there we go. He's a good boy, aren't you? You're the best boy. You're the best boy. No, you're going to pull my earphones out. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, okay, right. After that animal attack by that ferocious beast, let's get back into it.
Hej, ursäkta?
Sara Eriksson.
Ja, precis. Ja, förlåt för att jag är sen.
Ja, det var i grevens tid. Har du lägg med det?
Ja. Förlåt.
I don't like his attitude. Like, I get it, it's your job and she's late and everything, but understand that we're all human beings. And she might have had an emergency. Like, come on now. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Oh, that is so heartbreaking. For fuck's sake, mate. He has addiction problems. I'm trying to understand that, but when you're looking from a child's perspective of being let down and you see that her father's just, like, out having drinks, even if you take away the substance abuse problems, like, that's still hurtful in and of itself, but it's like it's let me down the most, you know? That's the feeling I have. Anyway, sorry, I'll go back, but it's let me down.
Alltså, vi bråkade typ. Jag försöker alltid finnas där för honom. Men vad jag än gör så blir det fel.
Mi amor. Du gör ingenting fel. Yo creo que él es un tremendo chico. La vida de él y su situación es lo que es.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Pero el amor...
I think their relationship would work 1000% if it wasn't for his situation.
Que no se te olvide, Simon.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because she's right. Love should never be that hard, but then it's not. Their love isn't what's hard. Their situation is what's hard.
Jag tog det. Körkortet. Men pappa, alltså, jag skulle kört dit när jag lovade.
Oh, my darling.
Att jag trodde att det skulle bli bra, men jag vet inte vad jag trodde, men det var så ont.
Oh, my sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know, it's so disappointing. It's like, it's even too simple to say that it's disappointing. It's like, it's disappointing for me watching him do that, because I'm like, I had such high hopes in you and you were doing so well. Like, it's so frustrating, and I just feel so let down that you would do this. But then for her, it would hit you on such a fundamental level when you have that, like, childhood trauma of your father and your bad relationship with him. And we know that it affected her deeply because Simon didn't go and see his father for so many years because Sara couldn't face it. So to actually get to a point where she wanted to see him, spend some time with him, and then he went and let her down in such a fundamental way. I'm so sorry, my sweetheart. It just sucks because they were on such a good run. But it's one thing like being busy at work or like doing something and it just skips your mind that you're meant to like pick her up or something and then you apologize. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing. But to find out that he was like having a beer with friends and that's why he didn't pick you up and take you to your driving test and all of that, that's just failing as a parent. Oh, to be a mother and watching that. I love their mums so much. It's like to be a mother watching that and also like feeling so sorry that your children are so upset because of their father. Like, oh, it must hit you so deeply. I agree with the sentiment, Willa. I would have rather you spoke to him. But I get if it was easier for you to send a message. I don't like communicating through text. It frustrates me. I don't think it's a good form of communicating with someone. I think talking to them, even if you're talking to them on the phone, is 10 times better. I assume the nail varnish is representing the idea of consistently reminding himself that would his brother have judged him for this? Would it have been something that Eric had something to say about, you know? Oh my god, that's so cute. Stop. My little heart. Look at him singing and smiling.
Jag kom du in? Jag fick muta Malin bara. Fint. Skrynklar den inte?
Bitch.
Allt okej mellan oss?
I think he has that question for you.
Tack för ditt sms. Just det.
Don't get me wrong about the texting stuff, by the way. That's just a personal thing with me. If it works for them, it works for them. I'm just, I hate texting.
Grattis, kompis.
Ooh. Not surprised, but still feels awkward.
Jag kommer att visa dig, Simon, vad du kan hålla till under tiden.
It's an annoying thing, isn't it? Because like I would have loved to, like I really want to be able to understand if there is, how do I word this? I wish that we had seen what this would have been like if it was like a heteronormative couple and if Simon is being like excluded from certain things. Like, are there moments where if this was a like straight relationship that like the girlfriend would have been included in other photos and everything and other like parts of the ceremony and they're just keeping Simon out of it because of everything? I just really want to know that, but I don't think we'll ever be able to understand that. I don't think we'll ever get a confirmation.
Kanske var dumt att jag sa det där om Erik. Fattar att det är tufft att höra.
Känner ni er redo? Wilhelm? Varsågoda.
It was. I don't, it's like a part of me thinks that he should definitely have the truth about his brother just to help himself. Because I think it would be healing in the future to know that your brother wasn't perfect and to stop like comparing yourself to him all the time. But hard thing for anyone to hear, especially when it came out when you were like arguing with him.
Vill du ha? Den är jättegod. Tack, men jag kan inte äta något som inte hovets kock har tillagat på såna här grejer. Varför?
Poison.
Det finns risk för förgiftning.
It's crazy. Like huh?
Jag skiter i vad mamma och pappa tror att de ska åstadkomma med att ha med August på min middag. Jag vägrar. Okej? Det är antingen han eller jag som åker tillbaka till Illerska.
Malin, ordnar du eskort för kronprinsen och Simon till slottet?
Absolut.
Fint.
Yikes. It is fair. It's the idea of like, that's like personal time with his family going back to the palace. So like, I do get the like formal arrangement, August be there. If it's not formal, get him out of here. Completely understand and respect that. I will say, looking at August interact with everyone and everything, it's starting to get to the point where I'm genuinely thinking it might, like, it's always been very evident that Willa should not be king. It's always been very evident that in a perfect world, Willa would not be in this position. And now that we've been given the idea of August being a substitute for him if he wants to give up the crown, it's like a huge part of me is just thinking to myself, honestly, I think he should just abdicate and give it to August. A part of me is like, I don't want August to have that privilege and that life and everything after what he did. I think that he, like, that's too good for what he did. Even though I don't think he's an evil person, I still think that's just too good for what he did. Because it seems like a life that fits him so well. But in that same way, it seems like a life that fits him so well compared to Willa. So if Willa's never going to be happy in this position, could it not just be better? The only thing that always holds me back is the fact that this is like a family thing. It's the idea of like giving up your family's business. This thing that goes back generations, like just handing it off to someone else. So I completely understand why that is at play. And that's a huge thing that's holding me back from fully thinking that he should just abdicate. But I don't know if his relationship with Simon is ever going to work if he actually goes through with being king and everything. Because like the amount of stress he's been under, just look at his mum. We've already seen that at Willa's age, he's basically at the same point that his mum is when it comes to all the stress and anxiety and breaking down and everything. So imagine being in that for the rest of his life. That, like, what? So we'll see. I don't know if they'll go down the path of him abdicating and everything, but they have set it up as an option. They've definitely set that storyline up as a possibility, so who knows at this point.
Jag vet ju att det är lite spänt mellan dig och kronprinsen. Så jag tänker att du behöver inte komma till slottet. Man tar bara studenten en gång i livet, eller hur? Bra, jag fixar en bild till dig.
She's like, after all, you only graduate once, huh? Please go. I'd hate to have her job, honestly. If I was Simon, I'd be like, I feel very uncomfortable. Can I have my backpack back, please? No.
Det är grodan boll.
What's Froggy Ball?
Den tecknade. Familjetradition.
Ah, okay.
Grattis!
I was like, huh? That was so sweet though.
Vi är så stolta. Så ett fyrfaldigt leve. Han lever. Hipp hipp. Hurra! Hurra! Hurra!
Hurra! I love that in Swedish. Hurra!
Hur mår du?
A sincere moment with his mum. How are you? Just fine.
Ja, vad roligt
Yikes.
att du är med oss idag. Välkommen. Ja, vi tar väl något att dricka, va?
Ja, absolut. Gärna.
God, it's so interesting seeing Simon actually at a family event, like a personal family event. Feels weird that it's been this long without it, but...
Den är jättefin, tack så mycket. Så fin.
Det var dags att du fick din egen.
Ja, den gamla, den har varit Eriks.
Ja, ni måste vara
Bringing
hungriga.
up Eric. Sore spot at the moment. Hopefully it doesn't come up at the dinner table, because that would not, like, in her current state of being unwell and everything, I feel like it would be an explosion.
Sång på morgonen, tårta och paket. Sen brukar jag träffa kompisar, bowla och typ spela laserdom.
Laserdom? Ja, det har jag inte provat. Ha?
I love that, but my god, the looks between Willow and his mum right now. I feel like we're gonna have an explosion at that dinner table, guys, and I'm not ready for it.
Du är jätteduktig på det här. Jag visste inte att du gillade att laga mat.
Oh.
Tack.
Ooh.
Ja, jag tycker faktiskt det är väldigt kul.
Aww.
Oj, jag vet ingenting. Vi byter bara ut den här.
Guys, I'm tearing up.
Kan ni ta? Börja med dem? Tack. Så ska vi bara...
Oh, I didn't think that it would affect me that much. Oh, stop! Guys, I don't know what it is. It's so funny. I always get really, like, I rarely get emotional when I'm watching TV shows. Something that always affects me is, like, when friends have this like moment of like not being friends, like there's tension, everything, but then you see them come together and you see that rekindling and it's like so beautiful and so like sweet. It sets me off. That was so cute. Like that was such a little scene where like they didn't even like need to make this extravagant thing of like, oh, let's be friends again, everything. Just like having a cute, sweet interaction like that was lighthearted, that was fun, that made them both laugh. Oh, that was so nice. I really, really, really hope that this is the changing point and we see them actually be friends again, but we'll see.
Ville har faktiskt hjälpt mig med det.
Jaså? Ja, han tog ju både piano och cellolektioner när han var barn. Men man fick ju...
Oh my, she looks like almost angry.
Den gjorde Erik också, han var väldigt duktig pianist.
Ja.
Och så spelade han tvärflöjt och var
det var violin fast.
Han var så talang.
The only things that she has said so far is about Eric. I'd excuse myself as well, Simon, and see what's going on there. I didn't like that one bit. The only time that she ever actually spoke was about Eric. His dad brought up the fact that Willie used to learn music as well, and he would like play instruments, but then the only thing that she had to say was that Eric was really talented at music, didn't interject at any point about Willa, hasn't spoken about Willa, hasn't even spoken about Simon. So it's just like, I do get it. She's lost her son, and that is what's on her mind. I'm trying to be really empathetic with that, but I'm also like trying to think to myself, you do have your other son here, and you do have to also be mindful of his feelings and still be there for him, you know? But then it's like, I've never lost a child. So how am I able to understand that, you know? It's a hard one. It's an interesting character point. I feel like we're seeing August, similar to like reading the letter from his first year, seeing him reflect on his past self. And like his past self would have probably laughed and like, be like, yeah, I'm the bad boy, did it. But now he doesn't even want that. He doesn't like that. He doesn't even want to resonate with that.
Har du hunnit läsa brevet?
Nej, men jag tänkte ge tillbaka.
I really like that, Sara.
För att jag vill inte läsa det.
Wow. I love that.
Varför inte?
Jag vill inte.
Yeah, you're disrespecting her boundaries.
Jag läser. Jag kan läsa det.
Ja.
Jo. Skitfort.
August, no. Stop disrespecting her. It's like I want to hear what this says, but for fuck's sake.
Ta ner rädda lilla ettan som alla körde med på invigningen till en stark och självständig individ som ingen vågar jävlas med. De ska få se. Du har gått upp rejält i muskler. Du har slutat gråta. Du har lärt dig bita ihop. Och du har skaffat...
Sorry guys. I'm trying to take this in. But I do have my like leftover anger over him just completely ignoring her boundaries and just like forcing this letter on her. It's pissed me off. It's like I'm trying to take this in and to like be empathetic, but I'm having a struggle in my brain because I'm so focused on the fact that why the fuck did you do this? Like, you don't have a right to do this. But in trying to focus on the letter's contents, we're definitely getting an idea of, obviously, we know that I don't know if he has an eating disorder, but it does seem like he has an eating disorder. He hasn't got diagnosed or anything, but like all the signs are pointing to an eating disorder. And the idea of putting into the lesser, building up muscle mass, stopping crying, like making yourself man up, that kind of vibe, you know, it feels very toxic and very much like he was ignoring the real root problem. So I do feel bad for him in that regard. I am struggling to feel bad for him in this moment just because of the fact that he did it this way.
Jag vill att du ska förstå var jag kommer ifrån och vad jag försökte eller trodde att jag ville vara. Jag vet inte ens om jag vill det längre. Jag vet inte vad det är som jag
I don't like this, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't like this just because of how he handled it. I have so much empathy for him with what he went through. I still, don't get me wrong, still don't like what he did with Willa and everything, and I still have anger towards that. But I do have empathy over the situation with his father, losing Eric, the eating disorder he's going through. It's just like, I don't like how this scene just went. I don't like this scene. Nah, I don't like that, guys. That's made me very uncomfortable. Oh no! Even worse! Literally all the development we had this episode, rebuilding with Felice, rebuilding with her brother. Oh my god. Sara!
Alltså snälla lämna mig inte med dina föräldrar sådär. Förlåt, jag behövde bara
Talk. Speak your feelings. Come on.
Alltså, det kanske är bäst att jag bara åker hem. Va? Vad menar du? Varför då? För att det känns inte som att jag borde vara här.
Vadå inte borde vara här? Jag behöver dig här.
Oh.
Fan, tror du att det här känns för mig?
Alltså, jag har varit så orolig för mamma och nu får vi äntligen ses och det är bara en vidrig upplevelse. Men absolut, om du tycker att det är så jävla jobbigt så åk du. Gör det.
That's not what he meant.
Tårtan serveras i lilla salongen i Skägge.
I understand where Willow was coming from in that moment, in the sense that it feels very much like his boyfriend is not there to support him, and it feels like his boyfriend thought like, oh, this is too awkward, this is making me uncomfortable, so I want to leave. But that is not where Simon was coming from at all. Simon was coming from a place of, you're my boyfriend, you're not talking to me, you're not communicating me, you're not expressing to me the problems that you're having and the problems that are having in your family. I don't understand. I don't know what to do to help you. So when we're in this situation where it feels like you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to communicate with me, you don't want to explain what's happening, I feel like I should leave the situation. Like, am I making your mum uncomfortable? Am I making this feel more uncomfortable than if I wasn't here, would this situation be different? Would you all be having a good time? Because I don't know, because you're not communicating that with me. You're not explaining to me what's going on. And I need to, like, I need to understand. That's where Simon was coming from. I get why Willa took it that way, because they haven't had this moment to communicate. They haven't been talking about the issues, which is definitely more on Willa. Like, it's one of those things, it's like, you can be going through something very harsh and everything, and I do have complete and utter empathy for that, but if you don't communicate that to your partner, how are they meant to know what's going on? How are they meant to understand what's going on and understand what you need and what you want in that moment? So, like, a part of me is completely understanding of where Willa was coming from, but then also that's not what Simon meant, and I don't think it should have been taken that way. It's like, this is what I mean. I feel like their relationship would be so good. They would be so good for each other. They would be meant for each other, but the situation they're in, I don't know if they can work. Evidently, they can't at this point. They're not communicating. They're not discussing issues. They're not feeling like they can discuss issues with each other. So how is that relationship gonna work?
Ni stannar bara och äter upp tårtan och så.
Ja, men då äter vi frukost tillsammans imorgon innan ni behöver åka iväg.
Vänta, är det så jävla jobbigt att sitta ner och äta en liten jävla tårtbit?
Wilhelm.
Oh no.
Sluta låtsas att allt är normalt.
Okay, good. I like this. I like this a lot. Stop putting on this act. Let's just fucking talk. It's family time. It's just us. It's family.
Men ni låtsas ju som att det är normalt. Ni skrapar på ytan. Ni pratar om det, men ni menar ju ingenting av det ni säger.
Oh my god.
Jag vet inte, jag var helt förstörd. Jag var helt förstörd och jag behövde dig.
Wow. Er. Oh my god. I love this.
Sörja i fred med er. Hela jävla Sveriges sorg var viktigare. Det enda du har brytt dig om, det är hur jag ser ut och hur jag ska vara som kronprins. Jag sen då inte vill ljuga om videon, om Simon, om vem jag är. Då bryter du ihop. Då går du sönder. Då kan du inte fungera. Då lämnar du mig helt jävla ensam.
Ja, men Wilhelm, det räcker nu.
Och du!
No, don't. Sorry to pause in this. Do not tell him to stop. Do not just completely not listen to what he's saying. Yes, you might be concerned about your wife's health at the moment. I get that. But he's fucking telling the truth, and he's finally broken down because you have been shit parents to him. You've not given him the support. You've not given him the love he needs. You've basically treated him like a fucking colleague more than you have a son, and you want him to just keep the business going, keep the, like, idea of the royal family alive, the idea that they are doing fine after losing their son. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to have lost your son, and you are allowed to have time to grieve as a fucking family. To just continue and keep thinking about the image of the royal family and the mourning of Sweden rather than the mourning of losing your fucking son and brother. Like, listen to your child. He's trying to communicate to you that what you've done has hurt him on such a fundamental level, and it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this, like, scratching the surface false moments when it's literally a son with his boyfriend in front of his parents. And what, they're like putting up this act? No, be a fucking family.
Jag är din enda son, pappa. Kan du se mig?
Wilhelm, du talar inte så till din far.
Oh my god.
Det är faktiskt inte så lätt att vara både din mamma och din chef.
Nej, jag märker det, för du är lika jävla kass på båda två.
Sluta nu!
Were you just gonna leave? Yep, I don't know. Just gonna leave. Great. Good job. Well done, parents. Good job listening to your child when he's just had a fucking mental breakdown over the fact that you've abandoned him and left him to grieve on his own after losing his brother. That's fine. Good job. Jesus Christ, like... Oh. I know, Simon. I'm sorry you had to witness all of that. That was a lot, but... Oh. Good job, Willa. God, that fucking quote, though. I've noticed because you're... What was it? You're just about useless at both? Yeah, I've noticed because you're just as damn useless at both. Wow. It's one of those things, it's like, I get that she's going through a lot. I get that, like, her health is obviously not the best right now. And, like, okay, I'm sorry about that. But everything that he just said there was factually true. And instead of listening to their child and trying to help him in that moment, like, yeah, maybe I can find it within myself to understand why his mum had to leave the situation because of what's going on with her. And she needs time to process and then she'll talk to him. But his dad, to just get up, to say, I don't know, and to leave the room. Go fuck yourself. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Willa, for actually fucking doing that, though. They needed to hear that. They needed to have a fucking slap in the face over everything that they've not done for you. You don't need to apologize for that.
Jag tycker det är bra att du är ärlig mot dina föräldrar.
Yeah, it was good.
Jag försöker verkligen finnas där för dig. Men sen ser jag bara hur allt bara skadar dig. Hela den här situationen du är i.
Mm.
Och det skadar mig.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. No, you shouldn't be sorry. I'm sorry for him. You shouldn't be sorry.
Det är bara som att du blir någon annan.
What, in the moment of rage?
Jag känner inte igen dig.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Kärlek borde inte vara så svårt.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't do this now.
Betyder det?
Don't do this now. What?
Kanske bara inte går.
Simon, pick your moment better.
Jag kan inte göra det här längre.
Right. Give me a couple of minutes just to think that through and process what just happened there, because safe to say I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, I'll be back in a minute. So yes, there we have season 3, episode 5 of Young Royals, and safe to say that was not the ending I was expecting. I get where, I do understand where Simon was coming from. I just think that that was not the right time to do it, in my opinion. I think that if you're sitting there and saying, it's hard because, like, I'm trying to be middle ground and understand from both sides, but I just personally don't agree that that was a good time to do it. But then, is there ever a good time? Is there ever a good time to say that you don't think you can do this anymore? Because I don't think that there is, but I do think that there is a bad time, and I would not have chosen the moment that he's just exploded at his parents over them not caring for him and abandoning him, and then saying that, like, you can't do this anymore, because then that would topple onto the feelings of abandonment and all of that. And even though it's that idea of, like, that's not necessarily, like, how do I word this? It's like, that's not Simon's problem. That sounds very harsh, but do you know what I mean when I say that? I mean it more so in the sense of, like, he has his feelings, and this is a relationship that he's in, and if it is causing him so much pain as well, then I would understand why he would want to no longer be in that relationship and have to remove himself from it. But I just feel like it wasn't good timing. I think that you should have at least given it till the next day or the day after, you know? Like, if you were having these feelings. I don't think that after the evening that he had there, I don't think it was fair to do it to him then, but what's done is done. He was being honest in the moment. But if we take away the timing of it, if we just discuss the event itself and why he broke up, like why he basically broke up with him there, I do get it. I do get it. We've been saying it all season. I don't know. I don't think that they can work while Willa is in the position of being the crown prince, being in the position of becoming the king. I genuinely don't think it can work. There is too much stress related to the role. It causes Willa so much stress, so much anxiety, and it's never going to get better. It's never going to get to the point where it's a better situation than it is right now. It's always going to be causing problems for him. And I don't think their relationship can work through that. It's evidently not been working through it. We've seen so many moments where They've been alone. There's been no royal thing involved. It's just them two. And their relationship is amazing. It is perfect for them. It works for them so well. They are so happy. They are so in love. But the second that you include the royal stuff and the family stuff with Willa, it just blows up and the relationship just, it crumbles. And I completely understand where he's coming from in the sense that love shouldn't be this hard. But the quote, love shouldn't be this hard, is something that has been used, like, I don't know when it first started, but it's been used for decades, like at least decades, maybe in fucking centuries. Because it is that idea of, it's one thing to love someone, but just because you love someone doesn't mean that a relationship with them will work. You can have so much love, like, you have so many people who get divorced and they say, I still have so much love for you, but this relationship just doesn't work for me. And I think that it's so fair to say that love shouldn't be that hard. Love and loving someone should be something that, yes, there may be hardships, but it shouldn't be something that every single day is causing you struggles and is bringing so much negatives to your life. It should be bringing so many positives. And yeah, you might argue here and there, but even then you work it out at the end of the day and you figure it out. You don't let things bottle up. You don't let things explode. And in their current situation, it's definitely happening. The reason that I don't think the love shouldn't be this hard thing doesn't necessarily apply here is that I've always taken the quote, love shouldn't be this hard, as more so the relationship that we are in, the people that we are. I do love you, but it's just too hard to make this relationship work. I think that their situation is different. It's not the love that is like causing the problems. It's not that they are incompatible. It's not that they as people don't work even though they love each other. It's that the situation that he's in, the position that he's in, is tainting the love, is tainting the relationship, and it's causing it to not work out. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the idea of like love shouldn't be this hard, but I know where his mum was coming from and I know where he's coming from in this regard, because it does still work in the sense of like this relationship doesn't work, it shouldn't be this hard. But I just think that like if we're taking the base notion of love shouldn't be this hard, I don't think it fully applies to them, because I think that their love and their relationship would 1000% work and not be hard at all if it wasn't for him being the crown prince. That's at the end of the day what's causing all the fucking issues. But moving on from that, because I feel like we've discussed it enough. Oh god, my brain. So much happened this episode. Let's work our way back. I feel like that's just the most easiest thing to do. Let's talk about what Willa was saying to his parents. I've discussed it quite a lot already, but I think that that was absolute perfection. I think that it's something that's been bottling up for so long for Willa and that needed to come out eventually. Do I wish that he had said something earlier? Absolutely. Do I judge that he didn't say it earlier? Absolutely not. His parents are very... It's sad to say, and I hate to say it, his parents are very superficial towards him. His parents are very much, like she said, it's hard to be your mum and your boss at the same time. It's like, you don't do well at either, love. You don't just like excel at being his boss and completely leave the mother side. No, you fuck up with being his boss because you don't give him like any leeway. You don't treat him with any respect when it comes to anything. And then you fuck up as his mother in the exact same way. You don't treat him with any fucking respect. You don't give him your love. You don't give him your time. Like, you don't give him anything. You just leave him to go out in the world. And what, you're proud that he was able to go to his first function without mummy and daddy there today? Oh, great, because what? That means that you don't have to worry, and that means that you don't have to put any effort in with him. No, that's not what being a fucking mother is. You put your effort in, you put your issues to the side, and you try and help your child. Yes, is it simple to say put your issues aside when it comes to losing a child? Absolutely. But when you have gone through all of this, and you have not once taken the time to think, right, this day, this moment, even though I'm dealing with so much shit, even though I'm dealing with so much pain with losing my child, I can also recognize that the child I have left, the one child that I have left, is hurting so deeply from losing his brother. I'm going to be there for him. I'm going to try and support him. And I'm going to make sure that he is heard and that his feelings are good. No, she didn't fucking do that. She's never done that. And it's just so frustrating that not only she left the room, because this is what I'm trying to get at. It's like, I understand that she may be going through a lot right now when it comes to like mental health and all of that. And yes, maybe she needed to remove herself from the room and then talk to him at a later point. Okay, fine, if you want to do that. But is dad someone who is, as far as we know, of sane mind, not struggling with like stress and everything right now, just getting up, looking him in the eyes, stuttering to say, I don't know, and then just walking out and joining his wife? Go fuck yourself. That is not a moment where you just leave the room. That is a moment where, yeah, you may want to sit down in silence for a little bit and think about it and talk to him. You do not just leave the room. I have so much like anger and resentment towards those two. They just, oh my God, they pissed me off. But anyway, oh, sorry, my mic's pissing me off. Anyway, moving on from that, let's talk about the Sara stuff. Oh my God. This is one of those few moments where like I've looked at Young Royals and I've thought, why have you done that? Why did you include that scene? Because the scene when she kissed August, oh, I can't tell you how much I hated that. I can't tell you how much I hated that. Manipulation is something that a lot of people do subconsciously. I'm not out here thinking that August was thinking to himself, right, she won't talk to me, she won't communicate with me, how do I make her talk to me? I'm going to do this. I think that it was a genuine, vulnerable moment where he thought to himself, I need to talk to her, I need to work through this, I need her to understand, I'm going to put this through so that it can, like, help move that along. But what he needs to understand was that was manipulative. It was a moment where she has set her fucking boundaries. She has made it clear that she does not want to talk to you. She does not want to be the person that you talk to because of everything that's happened. And she has a right to do that. And that is fine. But then to have him read it out to her and for her to kiss him, that just pissed me off with Sara herself. Like, as a character, she spent this episode getting her relationship with Felice back. Yeah, it may not have been like, oh, let's be best friends again, but she had a good moment with her. They laughed, they had fun. She actually had a moment with her brother and he said, I forgive you. And then she goes and fucking kisses August? Like, what? I don't know why they decided to write that scene. That doesn't make sense to me. To me, with how Sara was reacting, it should have been a moment of like, August kept trying to read it out and I'd be like, no, I've made my boundaries clear. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be your therapist. Please go see someone. I have this leftover love for you that like, I want you to go and get help. I want you to do better, but I am not the one who's going to give it to you. I don't want to be that person for you anymore. But then he completely ignored her boundaries, read it out. And then what, she just was like, oh, I feel so bad for you. I'm going to kiss you. Like, I hated that scene. I hate it so much. Let me know down below if you have a different opinion of it, but that like, from a personal element of me, I'm someone who, when I set my boundaries and when I make my boundaries clear, I do not let people cross them. And it like, it's like, I see it as an injustice to myself to allow people to walk over me and walk over my boundaries. And so that's where I'm getting really pissed off with, the writing here, to be honest. A big bit pissed off that they wrote it in a way that Sara just then went and kissed him, because I don't understand. A part of me doesn't understand, because I'm like, you made your boundaries clear. I understood your boundaries. Why is him breaking it something that then still makes you feel so empathetic that you go and kiss him? I get being empathetic in that moment, but kissing him? That's a step further. That's crossing the line, Sara, and that's what's throwing me off. I've really enjoyed her story this season. I've been like so here for her changing and so here for her having these like genuine moments with her dad and building that up, and then just going and having this scene, it just came out of the blue to me and I didn't like it. But anyway, moving on from that, talking about Sara and her dad, obviously the stuff with her dad at the bar was not good. I mentioned before about like my dad when it came to like not picking me up from school and all that, but that was a very different scenario. It wasn't like an event, and it wasn't like he was actually like going and drinking with his friends. It was literally like he got caught up at work and forgot that he was meant to leave work early to come pick me up. I completely understand that side of things, but to forget this is the thing, is like, did he forget or did he not care? I would think that he forgot. I don't think that he would be stupid enough to think, I don't care about picking my daughter up, I'm just going to go for a drink. That doesn't ride well with me. I feel like he skipped his mind, and so he then went for drinks with his friends. But either way, so fucked up that he went and did that. So fucked up that he couldn't have like that drive within him to be like, right, I'm going to be good. I'm going to make sure that, yeah, I'm on these new meds. They're probably going to cause different issues when it comes to me wanting a drink, wanting to socialize and all of that in ways that I shouldn't, that are unhealthy for me. I need to stick to it. I need to like make sure that I do not fail my daughter in this regard. I'm going to get like set like tons of notifications so that I don't forget about this. Like, that's the vibe that he should have been down. It shouldn't have been something that was just so easy to skip his mind. And that really let me down, to be honest. Like, I felt disappointed, let alone Sara. But yes, with that said though, I believe we've covered all of the main points that I wanted to talk about that I haven't talked about. So let's have a look and see if we've got any Patreon questions. Right, we do have quite a few. So as always, I'm going to just make sure that I cover like all of the talking talking points, so if I do miss your question, I am sorry. It's nothing against the question, it's just that I feel like I've covered that already, you know. But yes, with that said though, first up, how do you feel about the cliffhanger in this episode, and do you think they will end up together in the end? I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even think about the idea of it being a cliffhanger, just because I think I was just so shocked in the moment that it didn't process to me that we didn't actually get a resolution of what that was. Do I think they'll end up together at the end? Yes, I do. But then will they? Imagine they don't. Imagine they don't end up together though. That would be crazy. The way that... right. I haven't really thought about this before. I've got two running theories in my mind of how they're going to handle it. One theory is that Willa is going to be king, he's going to keep being crown prince, and they are not going to be together in the end. Because I genuinely think if he keeps the role, they can't work. They won't be together. That's just how I see it. The other way is the Willa will abdicate, August will take over, and then Willa and Simon will be together. I don't see an idea of him abdicating and they won't be together. I feel like those are our two options. It's like, they're together, he's abdicating. They're not together, he's the king. You know, that's how I see it. And with how everything's happened and the breakdown with his family and everything, I don't see the idea anymore of it being this like family tradition that's continued being something that's going to hold Willa back. I still think it's going to hold him back in some way. I don't think it's going to hold him back as much as I was thinking, for instance, at the start of the episode, even then. Like that blow up with his parents was like beautiful in not only the sense that it needed to happen and they needed to hear it, but also it was beautiful in the sense that we as an audience got this idea from Willa that I don't think he's going to be fully held back by the idea of this being this family thing that he needs to keep going. It might even be the idea of like it's this family thing that needs to end in his brain because he doesn't think that it should continue. He doesn't think that these traditions that they've come to where even as a family, they are being superficial with each other. They're treating each other like fucking colleagues. So honestly, I hope that he abdicates and he's with Simon, but I guess we will have to see next episode as it is the finale, which I'm not thinking about. I'm trying not to think about, but annoying. But yes, moving on. Next up, predictions for the last episode. What do you want to be solved? Predictions. I mean, prediction number one is I think it's more likely at this point that Willa is gonna abdicate and that they will be together. That's definitely like the running thing in my mind. It's kind of like I'm like 65% on that route, and then I'm like 35% along the route that he'll continue to be king and they will just be broken up. But I think that with what we've seen, their relationship is like as perfect as a relationship can be, and it would work so well. It just can't work while he is in the institution of being in the royal family. It just can't. And so that's where I'm at with like the 65%. That's why I think it's more likely, because I feel like it's the kind of story where it would feel weird if it didn't end with them two being together. And so the only way that I can see that happening is if he abdicates. In terms of other things that I want to be solved, I want to see an interaction between I feel like I want to see an interaction, if I'm being honest, between Sara, her mum, and Simon and their dad. I want to have like a family talk. I want to have like everyone bring things to the table and discuss. That's what I really want. But I understand if Simon and his mum don't even want to talk to the dad, or even if Sara doesn't want to talk to him ever again. But I feel like it would be sad to end the series with like that being the last thing we hear from her and her dad after everything that has been built up this season. I want them to have an honest conversation, talk about it, and just hear his side. Because I don't think there's anything he can say that will make me be like, oh yeah, you know what? No, I get it. Yeah, that's fine. You should have been having a drink with those people. Like, no, there's nothing he can say, but the main thing is I don't want us to end the season with that being the last thing, because that would be really sad in my opinion. Other than that, obviously, I would love to say Sara and Felice, but after she just kissed August, I don't know anymore. I don't know if that's even possible anymore. Like, how does she not recognize that that's a bad thing? How does she not recognize that being with him is problematic, considering what he has done to her family? Like, the reason she went to the police is because she finally recognized that, and she finally recognized where she went wrong. So why is she now fucking kissing him? Oh, I don't understand. It's pissed me off, if I'm being completely honest with you. I mean, I'm sure you can tell it's pissed me off. But other things that I want resolved, obviously Willa and Simon, but that's like a main thing, so I think we're definitely going to get that. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I don't know if there's really anything else. I would like to see some mentioning from the school board and all of that about whether Felice mentioned like about racism and that, if we see like an actual quote from the school board that they're like gonna do something about it, because that would be nice. But yeah, I feel like we do still have quite a lot to close up before we end the series. So I'm hoping that it comes into fruition and we actually see everything sorted and tied in a nice bow, but I guess we will see. Right, next up, what do you think the final straw was for Simon? He clearly loves Wille and didn't want to break up with him, but he just felt like he couldn't do anymore. What do you think happened that made him realize he had to end it? The quote that I keep focusing on is the idea of him saying that he didn't recognize Wille, which I do think is unfair, only because I feel like it's rare to see your partner in a moment of just such hurt and rage. And so, of course, you're not going to recognize them in that moment. Like, that's normal. Of course you wouldn't recognize them in a moment where he's feeling so hurt and everything. But the way that Simon worded it, it was like there have been, like, multiple moments where he hasn't recognized Wille. And so it's just like, I do get where Simon is coming from. The thing we have to focus on is the fact that they are individuals who have chosen to be with each other. That is a choice. They love each other so deeply. That is not changing. It's clear that Simon loves Wille. But you also have to think to yourself, as an individual, if this relationship is causing you pain and is making you hurt far more than it is making you feel loved and feel happy, then that is a problem. And that is something that you have to focus on. And I think that was the conclusion that Simon came to in that evening. I think that he realized that the issues that run between Wille and his family are so deep, so ingrained, and they didn't support him in that moment. There was obviously so much tension there. Nothing was resolved, and yet there was an explosion of rage. And so I think Simon felt in that moment that, like, all I've been trying to do is, like, trying to be there for you, but I don't understand how. I'm not from this world that you are from. I don't understand. I don't have, like, the toolkit necessary to help you. And so I don't think that I can do it anymore, because it's making me feel horrible that you are feeling horrible, but then you're not communicating to me what you need from me. And I'm not feeling like our relationship is having any positive influence on either of our lives at the moment. And so I think that's where he finally had that moment of, maybe we just can't work. Maybe we just can't be together. It's not doing any good for us. So why are we together? Is it causing you more pain? Am I an issue? Am I, like, causing stress in the family that's causing even more problems? Like, I can't live that way. I can't be the reason that you're upset and all of that. And yeah, Wille has never said that, like, Simon is the reason that he's upset, but you know what I mean? When his family has got all of these issues and he knows that their relationship is a big stress in the family and he's seeing how much Wille is always so hurt, I think that, like, from a position of loving him, he wanted to end it, but also from position of, like, just respecting himself and wanting himself to be happy, he couldn't do it anymore. Their relationship had just become so tainted at that point that it felt as though to Simon that there wasn't anything left. And so I do completely understand where he's coming from. I still don't think it was the right time, only because you've just seen someone who you love have such a traumatic experience with their parents and, like, finally explode. And then you break up with him. I don't think the timing was right, but I do think that he had a right to break up with him. I would have just left it until the next day or, like, a day after, you know, just, I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. When you love someone deeply, but you know that the relationship isn't working, it's like, what can you fucking do? What can you do? It's such a bad position to be in. Right, next up, the cake scene is something I've seen discussed a lot on Twitter, and I'm wondering how you saw it. Because I've seen people say Wille didn't care if it was poisoned, which is just an insane take to me. I think that the scene is showing how ridiculous he finds all the rules he has to follow, and it shows Simon realizing all the things Wille has to live through and what's normal to him. He doesn't realize how different their lives are. He just thought there's a risk of poisoning was an explanation enough, but of course it isn't to Simon, who doesn't know the extent of all these rules Wille has to follow. Interesting. I didn't really take the cake scene that seriously, to be honest, but I suppose it is something that we should focus on, because watching his boyfriend just stand there eating cake and being like, yeah, I can't eat it in case it's poisoned. Like, what? What do you mean? But, like, from his perspective and, like, all the rules, and especially in the past, when obviously we know that, like, well, back in, like, the fucking 1700s, 1800s, like, that was all, like, I feel like when you watch historical things and you see that idea of, like, oh no, but it might be poisoned, it just makes sense. But to see, like, a modern day royal say, I can't eat that in case it's poisoned, just like, huh? What do you mean? I personally just took it as the idea of, like, Wille was so in his head at that point, still thinking about Eric, looking at August, like, just got too many thoughts going on that he just took the easy way out of just like, do you want some cake? I don't really want cake, but then also I've been told that I shouldn't eat it in case it's poison, so there you go. I don't think he took it as like a serious matter of, oh no, I cannot eat that cake. That cake could have poison in. I'm not allowed to do that. I just think it was like a, oh no, I'm not allowed to eat that. I don't want to eat that right now, and it could be poisoned, as they say. You know, I think he was just like, not necessarily joking, but you know what I mean? Just like, it was like the least of his worries at that point, so he was just saying whatever. But yes, next up, did you catch that Simon giving Willa a sandwich in his bed was a nod to Willa making Simon sandwiches in season 1 too? Yep, I guess their love language is sandwiches. But that's what I mean, they have so many cute and like lovely moments away from all of the royal stuff. Like that was just a genuine moment between a boyfriend and his boyfriend's like birthday, like just celebrating him and like singing to him his passion and them having that beautiful moment. And you could see that there is so much love and that their relationship works. And then the royal stuff comes in, then Willa's family stuff comes in, and it just breaks everything apart. And it's just like, ugh, so frustrating. You just gotta feel for them both at this point. Like, they don't deserve what they've been through. But yes, our next and final question. Do you think that Simon did the right thing to break up with Willa, and do you think they can work it out together in the final episode? Do you think they can get back together, and what would you like to see in the final episode? I've talked a bit about most of this, but in terms of like, do I think that they can work it out together in the final episode? I think that they have every opportunity to. I just don't think that if Willa is going to stick with being the crown prince, if he's going to stick to the idea of becoming the king of Sweden, I don't think that their relationship can work. At least not right now. Maybe it's going to be one of those things where they break up now, and then when things get easier when it comes to like actually becoming the king and all that, maybe they can rekindle it. I don't think they'll do that. That just like, that doesn't feel right to me when it comes to the show. I don't think that, because they'd have to show like the actors older or like recast the actors at like as like older ages, which like I just don't think that'll work. So I definitely don't think that's the vibe that it's going to go down. So like the only thing that I can really think of when we're coming to the idea of them getting back together is abdicating, but it's a big thing to do. It's huge when it comes to Willa's family and like giving that tradition up. So we'll see. But yeah, in my perfect world, he would abdicate because I think that it would solve so many of his mental health issues, give him the opportunity to do whatever he fucking wants in his life, and also allow their relationship to flourish. Because I definitely think like you could definitely go down the route of, oh, but it's silly to give up the crown just to be in a relationship with someone. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying give it up for Simon. I'm saying give it up for yourself. Give it up for Willa. Give it up so that you can actually be happy and live a happy life. Because evidently it's not what has been given to you here. So yeah, we'll see how next episode goes, but safe to say it's going to be an explosive one way or another. We've got so much to close out. I really hope they cover everything, but it's like, it's such a big expectation for them to cover everything that we'll have to wait and see. But yes, with that said, thank you very much for watching. I've left a link down below to my Patreon. Be able to find the early and car reactions to Young Royals and all the other shows that I do. Also left a link to my Twitch, my Discord, and my socials, so be sure to follow them if you are interested. And yes, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.